Alright, the skills for Yunara dropped. She's the new ADC heading to League, so let's dive in. First off, her passive. Critical strikes deal bonus magic damage. Just a single line, super simple. And considering Riot, I was expecting a 10-line wall of text, but just cause it's simple doesn't mean it's not busted. Pretty sure she's gonna build physical damage while dishing out tons of magic damage too. Now for her Q, which has both a passive and active component like most champs these days. The passive makes her auto attacks deal bonus magic damage on hit, but that's not all. Every time she autos, she gets a stack, up to a max of 8. If she's hitting a champion, she gets 2 stacks instead of 1, but if she stops attacking for 6 seconds, she starts losing 1 stack every half second. Then there's the active. For 5 seconds, she gets 40% bonus attack speed, and her autos deal even more magic damage on hit. On top of that, her attacks spread out to nearby enemies and deal bonus physical damage, kinda like Runan's. It's a pretty straightforward skill, and looks a lot like Ashe's Q. Basically, it does the same thing Ashe's Q does, just with different numbers. And it adds that Runan's style AoE effect that hits nearby enemies too. That's gotta be great for wave clear. Now, digging into the details, those Runan style shots can crit if the main attack crits. They don't have separate crit chances. Plus, they deal 250% bonus damage to minions under 30% HP, probably to make farming and pushing even easier. And the on-hit effects and lifesteal from those Runan shots are only 30% effective. Otherwise, she'd just get full HP by hitting a single wave. When I saw this champ in the cinematics and all that, I really thought she'd be more of a mage. I knew she was gonna be an ADC, sure, but I thought she'd be more like Ezreal. And then her abilities leaked earlier. Not visuals or anything, just what they did. And I already kinda guessed she'd be similar to Ashe. And now, yeah, confirmed. The damage looked super low on the training dummies, but she didn't have any items, right? Gotta see how she plays when full build. But like, is this champ gonna be one of those weird hybrids that deals both AD and AP? The ones you don't even know how to build against? Cause her passive makes crit deals extra magic damage, and Q is doing magic damage on hit, so she's probably going full ADC build. But then you've got champs like Yone, where you build full AD, full crit, and still dish out AP damage because of his passive. That kind of champ is just annoying, man. I really think that's one of the lamest design choices Riot makes. Champs that deal both AD and AP. Like, a decent amount of both. Not just like 10% AP and 90% AD, you know? But at the same time, come on, look at Yunara. She clearly gives off mage vibes. She's got all these spiritual powers, so it makes sense that she'd deal magic damage too. Then again, Darius spends mana to spin a purely physical axe. So yeah, that logic goes straight out the window. Anyway, let's check the rest of her abilities and draw conclusions later. So in her W, she throws this boomerang thing forward. It slows and sticks to enemies, then expands when it reaches max range. The first hit does physical damage. The slow is 99%, which decays over 1.5 seconds, and it keeps dealing bonus physical damage, basically half the damage of the first hit to enemies in the area. Man, slows are the worst. Honestly, I'd rather get stunned than slowed. Slows might be one of the most annoying mechanics in League. Only thing worse is Malzahar's ult. Can't do anything about that either. So considering her kit and that she's got a slow on W, she's basically Ashe already. Ashe 2.0, folks. I'm kidding. They're not the same champ at all. Just saying the similarities are there. That thing comes out crazy fast too. Like, looking at it, there's no way to dodge that. After it hits someone, it slows down a lot, but it kinda sticks and follows the person. And it explodes at the end. The cast time scales with attack speed, and it executes minions. So another solid ability for farming. You can see it chunking the minions, but we don't know how many items she has and what her level is. Obviously, that clip wasn't an early game, otherwise it's ridiculous. And you're probably seeing now there's this transcendent state version of her W. I'll come back to that in a sec. It's tied to her ultimate. Her E gives her ghosted status. I think that's the one where you can move through units. She also gets 60% bonus move speed, which goes up to 90% if she's moving toward an enemy champ. That movement speed decays over 2 seconds. Simple ability really, kinda like Blitzcrank's W, but way better, since she doesn't slow herself afterward. But let's not get it twisted. Every champ is balanced around their own kit, not compared to others. If Blitz didn't slow himself, he'd be busted. Like, imagine a champ that doesn't debuff themselves? That would make League of Legends completely unplayable. Anyway, they show her ability in action. Super weird that she's got this tail with glowing orbs following her. Not sure if I'm really feeling that, but overall, her design is actually pretty damn cool. Even her splash art is ridiculously good. Anyway, it actually doesn't last that long now that I think about it. It decays over 2 seconds, so those 90 or 60% speeds are just right at the start. Not totally sure what I think of this skill yet, if it's actually good or not. Before we move on to her ultimate, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and maybe consider becoming a member. That way you get access to videos early and can choose the topic for a video. Now her ult. She enters a transcendent state for 15 seconds. That's a long time. During that, Cultivation of Spirit activates. Arc of Judgment upgrades into Arc of Ruin and gets 50% reduced cooldown. And her E, Kanmei's Steps, upgrades into Untouchable Shadow, and the cooldown is refreshed, so I'm guessing the ideal combo is W, then E, then ult. So your W gets halved cooldown, and you can E again right away. Basically, her ult powers her abilities. Not just buffs them like increasing numbers, it actually upgrades them into new skills. Anyway, let's see how it actually works in-game. Here's her E during the ult. It's a full dash. It even goes through walls. Is that animation just when she's dashing through a wall? Or does she do that fancy flip every time she uses the dash? If it's just for walls, then hey, Riot actually went the extra mile this time. For once, right? Now her W, instead of throwing the boomerang, it turns into a laser. So yeah, it really is a brand new ability. That laser actually looks like Aurora's ability. The color palette, the spiritual vibe, same energy. And dude, that whole thing I mentioned at the start about physical and magic damage. As everyone knows, auto attacks in League naturally deal physical damage, but her Q, that makes her do magic damage on hit. Plus, she's got stuff like Runyan's that still deals physical damage. Her passive makes crits also deal magic damage. Then her W does physical damage, but when it's upgraded, it deals both physical and magic damage. And it's not like mostly physical with a little bit of magic or anything. It's literally 50-50. So yeah, seems like one of those super annoying champs that dishes out a ton of both physical and magic damage. Obviously, autos are her main thing since she's an ADC, so it's not like that 50-50 W is the most important thing ever. But still, that magic damage on hit from her Q kinda worries me. There's also her passive. I think that will probably be the biggest complaint most people will have about her kit. That is, if it's released unbalanced and broken, like most champions are. But I guess that's just how Riot works. That way, people feel happy playing them and buy skins, then they nerf them. Still though, I'm not a big fan of champs that do tons of both physical and magic damage. I mean, playing as them is awesome, sure, but playing against them? Nah, hard pass. Then there's her recall animation. Nothing crazy, just a normal character recall, not much to say. Her idle animation has her in that pose, like she's flexing for some Mr. Olympia thing. Her dance got leaked too, and it's really cool because it's a reference to the anime Mashal. It's kinda like One Punch Man, but in a magic school. In a world full of magic, the main guy's born with zero magic, so he just trains like hell and ends up insanely strong. That's the basic premise anyway. Not gonna spoil anything else, but it's actually really good. Go watch it. The opening song is fire too. I can't put it in this video cause copyright, but man, it's so good. I saw some people saying she's basically Syndra and Lee Sin's kid, raised by Irelia. Not sure if I totally see that comparison though. Like, yeah, the Syndra part makes sense cause of the orbs, that's pretty obvious. But the Lee Sin and Irelia part, people are reaching hard. She doesn't even have that much mobility. The champ feels stiff as hell, like Zenyatta from Overwatch. Honestly, I thought she'd be more like an Ezreal, at least from the way she looked. Before I knew what her skills did, I mean. Her whole aesthetic makes her seem kinda Maggie, you know? But she looks like she's gonna be a really fun champ. I don't even play ADC, but she seems cool. I always try out every new champ when they drop. So yeah, I'm definitely playing her. Has her first skin already leaked? Probably, right? I've got no idea though. She kinda already fits into the whole Spirit Blossom skin line, just with her base look. So I don't know what else they could do. I wanna hear her voice lines too, see if she's got any interactions with the Darken. For anyone who doesn't know, they're those fake Conmay spirits from the comic. They're all Darken basically. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.